All right, baby. We are live. It's New Year's Day. We're podcasting. We're talking about the Denver Broncos. It's going to be a great night. We just got to let it breathe and connect. Let's hope this is a auspicious harbinger that everything goes great in our connecting with Facebook this time to kick off the new year. Here we go. Welcome in, everybody. It's the Mile High Huddle podcast. I'm your host, Chad Jensen. With me, my fellow football priest for the first time this year. Zach, it's been a minute, dude. I haven't talked to you since last year, bro. But my part here is a little bit under the weather. Happy New Year, though.
Happy
Zach.
New Year.
Hope you had a good New Year's Eve, and thanks for bearing down while you're not feeling so hot and making it for the pod.
Of course, man, I couldn't let you fly solo tonight. It's the last heads ahead of the regular season. Guys, if I sound different, it's because I have a little head cold. I might not be able to do that much ranting tonight, but I did want to hop on and go over this Chargers game. I'm very excited, Chad, because it's now 2026. It's the year the Broncos officially win the Super Bowl, so I'm pumped. Happy New Year, man.
Happy New Year to you as well. Jeez, and just as you're talking about not feeling so good, I swallowed wrong. Hold on one sec.
It's going around right now. Everyone's
Pardon. Papa Bear in the house. What's up, dude? Hope you're doing well. Happy New Year. Right back at you. He says, Happy New Year, Broncos country. Hashtag God bless the USA. 14-3 plus. We all know what that means. MHH for life, Broncos for life. And the Buckham is back, baby. Buckham times 3. Zach, can you imagine? Can you contemplate even the level of Buckham that will occur if Sean Payton's preseason Super Bowl thing comes to be? Could you imagine?
Be like Buckham times infinity from David. And you know what? At that point, Chad, I wouldn't blame anyone for feeling that way with all the crap we've taken for a decade and all the crap we took when Sean Payton made those proclamations about Bo Nix, about the Broncos. Man, I literally get chills just thinking about Bo and Sean hoisting that Lombardi in Santa Clara.
I also wanted to take some time tonight. I was going to maybe do it last night, but doing it solo, it's not as fun. Go through some of our top Bronco moments of 2025. Just then we can kind of put it behind us, focus on this season finale, focus on the head-to-head and the playoffs. It's going to be a gas. Some shouts here. We got Unique Prepping in the hizzy. Smouse is in the house officially. David Yunkins, great to see you, buddy. Jetty Splash, thank you for the super chat, big dog, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Right back at you. It's great to see you. Thank you for being a member. We also have Shannon Mills, talk about members, jumping in off the top rope. Very, very nice to see you tonight, Shannon. Happy New Year, she says, and thanks for all the great content in 2025. Well, thank you for being there, my friend. Honestly, thank you. Your support this season has been immense, and we've been blown away by it and very humbled. So thank you.
Yeah, Shannon, thank you so much. Happy New Year to you and yours. It's going to be a banger of a year. We're all confident around here, and you have become quickly rising up the Mount Rushmore of the podcast, the legendary status. So appreciate all your contributions over the last couple months, and we look forward to what the playoffs have in store for the team.
No doubt about it, and it's here before you know it. I mean, they got one last piece of business to take care of before the playoffs, and Zach, I'm starting to wonder if there are some shenanigans perhaps to be taking place from Jim Harbaugh. Nothing serious, but I just noticed that guys like Derwin James went from DNPs, Khalil Mack yesterday, DNPs in practice to limited. Now, the flip side to that, Justin Herbert was limited yesterday and then didn't play at all or didn't practice at all today. So I don't know what to make of it, but would you be surprised if guys like James or Mack end up playing on Sunday?
I would, because there's gamesmanship and also the legitimate reality of risking your players and not gaining much from it, Chad. I don't think they can even move up in the seeding. They're locked into a wild card spot. You would want your team at 100% for the postseason. I think the key players will be sitting out on Sunday at Empower Field.
We shall see. Shannon, so great to see you. Happy New Year once again, my friend.
Thank you, Shannon.
We got Eric Holt in the hizzy. E. Holt, great to
Eric.
have you in the house. Happy New Year. Saying happy new Denver Broncos year, 13-4, home field advantage throughout the playoffs. I hope it's 14-3 for what it's worth, because if it's 14-3, Zach, that means they actually won the game, and then they actually won the 1 seed. But he goes on to say, I'm sure that's what he meant. Home field advantage throughout the playoffs is going to be sweet. We just have to close the deal, because I can easily see a Broncos-Niners Super Bowl, a repeat of that brutal 55-10 Super Bowl. Everybody that was alive at that point remembers through a lens of trauma. At least I'll speak for myself, I guess. But yeah, Zach, that's what's crazy. If they take care of business against the Chargers, you're 2 home games away from the Super Bowl.
And there'd be so many potential storylines with that Super Bowl in particular, Chad. You have Sean Payton versus Kyle Shanahan, who the Broncos passed over hiring a few years ago as head coach. Bo Nix versus Brock Purdy. VJ versus Robert Salah. The Shanahan-McCaffrey ties to Denver. Greenlaw and Hufanga revenge game. John Lynch, he's the GM out there in San Francisco. He has ties to the Broncos. I would love to see that, Eric. And given Kyle Shanahan's propensity for crapping his pants in the Super Bowl, chalk up a W for the Broncos.
We also have from the top rope, the Ronk checking in. Bro,
Michael, thank you.
That
Happy
might
New
be,
Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year for sure. But Zach, that might be the biggest Ronk bomb I've ever seen. Like that might be a Ronk record. I could be wrong on that. But either way, brother, thank you so much. Yeah. So generous of you. The Ronk, as everybody knows who are regulars, what I'm about to say, of course, is for the new people because the channel continues to grow by the month. But Ronk is an OG. He goes way back, Michael Ronquillo. And he started out as a Facebooker guy, and we would call him the mayor of our Facebook community on MHH. But now he's more onto YouTube. So he's just the mayor of MHH, throwing down in support, helping us start the new year off on a great foot like all the other superstars and members in the house. So thank you, Ronk. He says, good evening, Chad and Zach on the MHH podcast on New Year's Day. Go Bo Broncos. Ronk, dude, you're a legend.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michael, for that generous display of generosity. Again, that's my sick brain talking. You've humbled me. You left me speechless with this, as Chad said. Ronk bomb. Happy New Year to you and yours, and let's get it in 26.
Yeah, man. It's been we all went through some pretty dark years together, and we kind of kept each other warm during the late era Elway depredations where they couldn't get the quarterback right. They couldn't get the coach right. And, that's not me trying to besmirch Elway's legacy or anything. I'm just saying we wandered the desert together, and it's nice to climb out of it together as well, Zach, with the team being, Look, guys, talk about moments of 2025. I want to get into a few and pick your brain on it, Zach, but I'll tell you, like sitting here last season when the Broncos beat the Chiefs in the finale and guaranteed themselves a spot as the 7th seed in the playoffs. And we kind of knew the way it was going to go. But if you fast forward and we're excited, they finally broke the streak of missing the playoffs. They made the playoffs. I never would have guessed, Zach. I never would have predicted the 1 seed. We're predicting playoffs. We're predicting maybe they challenge the Chiefs for the division. We weren't predicting 1 seed. So, man, they're out kicking the coverage in the best sense. And I don't think it's fool's gold. I'm not saying out kicking their coverage because it's, a fugazi by any stretch. It's just amazing to see how far they've come and how fast.
It's incredible. I actually tweeted about that a few days ago. I listed the Broncos' result of their season every year since 2016. Missed playoffs, missed playoffs, missed playoffs, missed playoffs. Then you get to 24, made playoffs. You get to 25, number 1 seed. Coaching matters, quarterbacking matters. Thank God for Bo. Thank God for Sean Payton.
It's like Scott, Mr. Producer, likes to say every once in a while. Anybody out there still crying about giving up that first round pick for Sean Payton or the Bradley Chubb? You squandered the Bradley Chubb trade to get a coach. I don't think anybody's lamenting that any longer. Lawrence Rivera, what's up, dude? Good to see you. He says, what's up, guys? Let's get this quick win for your birthday. Oh, dude, then it's a guaranteed dub. We know this. They're winning for sure, Lawrence. Happy, in case we don't see you, happy birthday, big dog. We have the Duchess checking in.
Thank you,
on
Michaela.
Super Chat. A top rope super. She's a legend living in her own right. Here she is, Michaela Parker. She says, I heard the Broncos are super focused. Good signs ahead. Yeah, that's Sean Payton, Zach. He's working hard to keep them dialed in, to guard against complacency, keep them focused at the task at hand. And they're viewing this game against the Chargers, even with the Herberts, and we'll see who else ends up sitting out, but as a playoff game.
We talked about that. I think we did together, Chad. The fact that Sean Payton hated the AFC West gear, and he said he didn't even discuss the title with the team. They're just moving on to their bigger and better goals. And if you read the transcripts from Sean Payton, he's gone out of his way to say, listen, we're focused on Week 18. We're focused on the Chargers. It's a real good team, and we have to win this. So, yeah, Michaela, they are not going to be complacent as we saw last week. That game was much closer than it had to be. I think the Broncos are going to win this game commandingly on Sunday.
Yeah.
Thank you for your super. Happy New Year.
Yeah, and focused is the word. Like Sean Payton is not letting them look past the Chargers, and he doesn't want to talk about seeding beyond, hey, we got a chance here at the 1 seed. He doesn't want to talk about what the different opponents could be, because if they win the 1 seed, they're kind of impervious to that question until the divisional round. So, man, kind of crazy to think that the Broncos are 1 win away against a Herbertless Chargers team from the 1 seed, of which you host 2 games at home. They're 7-1 at home this year, guys. They win those games. It's Super Bowl back at Levi Stadium. David Youngkin, brother, what's up? Thank you for the super chat as well and being that awesome member that you are. He says, can you tell us who is out for both teams? Well, at this stage, we have 2 practice reports today. The 4 people on the Chargers who did not participate in practice were Omarion Hampton, the running back, Justin Herbert, the Q, Nico Reed, the corner, and Jamari Salyer, the offensive lineman. For the Broncos, Zach, the only guy who did not participate at all was linebacker Dre Greenlaw, while John Franklin Myers, the defensive lineman, was limited. But good news, the big news of the day, at least for the Broncos practice, Pat Bryant goes from limited to full. So it looks like he's going to be emerging, Zach, from concussion protocol.
Yeah, they're not going to have Brandon Jones, obviously. They're not going to have Wattenberg. They're not going to have Greenlaw. But the rest of the team is fairly healthy, David. As Chad said, you're getting Pat Bryant back. And I'll say one thing. Even if these teams were playing at full strength or Herbert was playing, I still like the Broncos' chances. There's too much on the line, and they can't be as complacent as we saw last week. They just can't do it. So Herbert, we know, is out, and that's the big one. It'll be Trey Lance starting at quarterback for the Chargers against the Broncos defense.
Eric jumping in again. Thank you, pal. Seriously. And by the way, I want to invite you, become a member on YouTube. We need you, Eric. He says, I watched the replay of Monday's chat in the early 2026 draft wish. And his wish goes tight end, Oregon tight end, Keon Sadiq, wide receiver, South Carolina, Nick Harbert, linebacker, Alabama, Deontay Lawson. Your thoughts? I would be interested in all 3 of those guys, dude, because they would all scratch an itch that the Broncos currently have, Zach. But I'm especially, of that trio of names that you laid out, intrigued by the Oregon tight end.
Yeah, Eric, I was going to say the same from like a macro level. You're speaking my language, because the Broncos have a couple options in the first round of the draft. You take a weapon for Bo Nix or some sort of supporting cast member for Bo Nix, or you take an inside linebacker. And the 3 players you named there all fit the bill perfectly. I like Sadiq a lot, like Chad said. I think he could be a major move weapon for Bo Nix at the next level. But we'll get into the minutia of the draft as the offseason goes along. But I like the way you're thinking so far.
No doubt about it. It's great to see you, Eric. Happy New Year. Guys, we have so much more to get to. We're gonna share some of our top moments of 2025. We're gonna continue to see what's on your mind in the chat. But first, you guys, the playoffs right around the corner. It's almost here. You got 1 more week of the NFL season, and Underdog remains the best place to get in on all that action. Get off the bench, into the game. Head over to Underdog, download the app, whether you're on the App Store or Google Play. And it's not just football. It's basketball, hockey, any sport in between. Underdog is the best place to get in on that action, and it's all season long.
That's right. Playing an Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and more. Get your picks correct, and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash.
It's so much fun, guys, that the opportunity to win money while you're watching football. It's similar to fantasy in that sense. It's Underdog, though. Guys, download the app today, Underdog. Use our promo code MHuddle, and you will score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. Again, that's our promo code MHuddle. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next?
Be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
We got the Ronk also gifting
Thanks,
10 Mile High Huddle memberships to folks in the chat. Dude, you're such a sweetheart. We love you. I don't know what we'd do without you. Thank you so much, Ronk. You just amaze us every time.
That's why you're the mayor around here, Michael. Thank you so much for your contributions and those memberships.
Zach, yesterday on this topic here, Scott Little on Facebook saying Greenlaw's a bust. Better draft a middle linebacker. So yesterday I brought this up in a kind of, Chad feels like talking solo episode. I went live last night because Luke and Tom were off for the holiday. And I talked about how easy it will be if the Broncos want to get out of the Greenlaw contract next year with relatively minimal pain. Do you feel like they should look elsewhere, or do you feel like he needs one more bite at the apple?
I feel like they can have their cake and eat it too. I feel like they can keep Greenlaw for another year while looking to the future and having his replacement already on the roster. Similar to what they've done with JFM. They drafted Savion Jones. They knew JFM was probably going to walk in 26, and in comes Savion to save the day. So I don't know, though, that I would call Dre Greenlaw a bust. We all knew he had an injury jacket. We all knew he was always one play away from being injured. We all knew that he was a damn good linebacker when on the field. And I think more so than not, Chad, he showed that with the goal line stand, with the interception. He had a better play overall than a lot of other inside linebackers with the Broncos in the last 10 years.
I forgot about the interception, but really for me, it's like that big, like overall performance when you think of a game. It's that Houston game. And then to me, he's kind of been a little bit forgettable. Like I feel like in that Giants game, we were hoping to see like a rise in intensity as a defense, and the Giants ended up kind of getting out to an early lead. Now, granted, Zach, the offense could get nothing going until the fourth quarter, but I digress. I would like to see him back, but I think the Broncos got to figure some other things out first before they fully decide that, including, hey, are we bringing back Alex Singleton? Did Justin Sternad finally show enough, Zach, to get a multi-year deal from the Broncos? Because in each of the last two off seasons, they brought him back on a one-year deal. I think he's earned it for what it's worth. I think Justin Sternad deserves to get paid a little bit. Nothing crazy, not going, too far out on a limb, but recognizing him for his contributions and knowing, Zach, he's still young. What was it, the 2020 class? He came in as a fifth-round pick out of Wake Forest, and he didn't even play his rookie year because of that wrist. And he hasn't been a starter the whole time. So relatively still mild wear and tear on those tires. And he's shown that he can be an impact guy. He's grown into an impressive starting caliber linebacker. And I think it's time the Broncos reward him.
You guys are going to hear me say this a lot between now and the draft. And thank you so much, Michaela. Go Broncos. Remember, for 5 months. It doesn't really matter where they go in particular with any one player, as long as they address the most important positions. And the inside linebacker, you can bring back Sternad, you can bring back Dre Greenlaw. It's not going to prohibit me from still addressing that position and taking an inside linebacker in round 1.
Fair, absolutely. And thank you, Michaela. Love you. Ronk says, let's remember, speaking about memories and, thinking back, Darren Williams passed on this day, January 1st, 2007. Yeah. Oh, I should have just read the dang super chat. Yes. And boy, oh boy, was that a kick in the you-know-what. And obviously for his family, an absolute tragedy. And he was such a fun player, man, to have to be. He was basically Denver's Riley Moss back then, meaning they had the number one shutdown corner in the NFL that no one wanted to throw at in Champ Bailey. And so Darren Williams got a lot of business, to kind of use the verbiage Sean Payton likes to use. He was kind of a mix, Zach, of not in terms of play style, in terms of role, of Riley Moss mixed with Marvin Mims Jr., because he was also a very talented returner. So RIP Darren Williams.
Yeah, I mean, there's every death is a tragedy, but two really rocked Broncos country. Demaryius Thomas, obviously, and then also Darren Williams. Just tragic, senseless violence is the reason why he's no longer with us. And of course, like Chad said, the rest in peace, thoughts and prayers. And we'll always remember Darren Williams. Never forget.
No doubt. He's one of the few, if only, Broncos ever to wear his first and last name, too, by the way, on this jersey. Darren Williams, because they had so many Williams that particular year. Zeus McPeak, tonight is a special night, not only because it's New Year's Day, Zach, but the very first two faces that were etched on the MHH Superstar Mount Rushmore are in the hizzy.
Right.
Zeus, Michaela are here tonight, and both of them throwing down supers, both of them showing dear members supporting the cause. Thank you so much, Stu. It's great to see you, big dog. He says, Happy New Year, all. I'm excited for the playoffs. Broncos need to take care of business and step on the Chargers' throats. MHH, Denver Broncos for life. Zach, that's what I'm saying is I hope it's not like that Chiefs game, and I hope it's a little bit closer to what it looked like against the Chiefs in the season finale last year, where they just get out on them, to use his verbiage, step on their throats so that Bo Nix can be sipping Gatorade in the third quarter.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Stu, for that. Super happy New Year to you and your family as well. That's the ideal scenario in this game. You get out to a commanding lead. You show that you just took it to the Chargers, and you pull your starters, preferably, I don't know, at halftime or after halftime, and then coast to that number one seed. I don't want to see a squeaker. I don't want them to eke out a victory against a Herbertless Chargers team. I want total and complete domination, like we saw, as Chad said, in Week 18 against Kansas City last season. Thank you again, though, Stu.
Yeah, man, that's the reward. The incentive is, hey guys, if you can get out there and get on their butts early, then you can take a break in the second half. But Bo Nix, Zach, it's a big start for him. He needs that start and the subsequent win, because it ties him, if he gets the win against the Chargers, with Russell Wilson for the most victories by a quarterback in their first two seasons of all time. He had the chance, Zach, to win it all, like own that record by himself, but that loss to the Chargers. He would have needed 25 wins, and the Jaguars. If they had beat the Jaguars, Zach, he would have had the chance. But I digress here. Big day still for Bo Nix.
Or the Chargers, Chad. They beat the Broncos earlier in the season, or the Colts for that matter as well. So it's still important for Bo to also get that bugaboo off his back of never beating the Chargers. I would like to see that happen on Sunday. No excuse for it not to be a blowout.
Zach, what to you when you think back? Now, look, we have one more regular season game. By the way, George, thank you, pal. Guys, so glad we have a pod that keeps us informed about our team season and off season for Broncos country. Hit the thumbs up, guys, dude. So sweet. Thank you, George. Your support on Facebook and all the stars this past year, man, means the world to us. So thank you, big dog. But Zach, and this is a question for you, Zach. This is a question for everybody in the chat. When you think of the Broncos going 13-3 in 2025, what's the number one memory that symbolizes the moment that kind of symbolizes this team?
Easy. Giants game. Number one, Chad. I will always, until the day I close my eyes on this planet, I will remember that game. We were there. Epic, historic comeback. I was shocked the Giants looked that good. I was shocked the Broncos looked that bad. And then the fourth quarter came around, and they were honoring the Super Bowl team. I think they honored DT as well. They scored the symbolic number of the numerology in that game, Chad. I still have goosebumps thinking about it. That is the number one memory far and away of the season.
Yeah, that one's going to go down all time for sure. Like that's the kind of game that you're telling your great grandkids, like I was there when the Broncos stormed back in the fourth quarter. Yeah, that's a huge moment. I would also throw in, for me, beating the Eagles in their house. What was that, week 5? I thought that was a huge signal to the NFL that this year's Broncos, you got to take us a little bit more seriously because, we went to the playoffs last year. But that win against the Eagles, man, that was a big kind of shot across the NFL's bow saying, hey, don't sleep on the Broncos. Well, we want them to keep sleeping, but hey, we're a legit force to be reckoned with. And even though people will argue, Zach, that the Eagles with the new coordinator and all this stuff, they weren't the Eagles of week 5 are not the Eagles of today. You can say that about any team, literally any team. So it was a high quality win and a huge for me, like sitting up in my seat going, okay, what Sean Payton was saying about the Super Bowl, like I'm listening, I'm paying a little bit more attention to that kind of stuff now.
Eagles of old, I don't care. They're still the reigning Super Bowl champions. The Broncos had to go across the country to their house in an early afternoon kickoff, Chad. And I'm glad you brought it up because why it stands out to me, we got on the halftime stream of that game. The Broncos were down by 2 touchdowns, I think, or they were by going into the fourth quarter for sure. And you and I both were very honest with our audience. We said, I don't know if the Broncos are going to come back. We don't know if it's going to happen. And they did. And that said a lot to me. Like, this team will find a way to win. They just know how to do it now.
Zach, the Broncos were down 17-3 entering the fourth quarter. And they put up 18 points in the fourth against the Eagles in their house, East Coast, tough place to win, and got it done against the defending world champ. So those are, I think, Zach, the 2 best moments, but I want to hear from you guys in the chat.
There's a couple more I could think of, Chad. Were the overdogs after beating the Packers, I think it was. Bo Nick said that. That was great. And also, as Ronk said, obviously, I don't care about the second matchup. They swept the Kansas City Chiefs for the first time in God knows how long, whatever it was, Chad. They swept Kansas City. The dynasty is over. It is now the Broncos division. That's a huge memory.
I think 2014 was the last time the Broncos had swept the Chiefs. Let me double check that real quick here. Victory and victory. Yeah, so 11 years. Damn. First time in 11 years they've swept the Chiefs. Brian McGahee checking in. Great to see you, man. Again, back-to-back days. Awesome. He says his moment, by far, the Giants game. I got the opportunity to be on the field pregame. Dude, then you were crossing paths with the Lady D, with Deanna Hendry, who came to the meet and greet. By the way, Brian should have come to the meet and greet, dude, and said, what's up? But she was, through an awesome just kind of twist of fate, she was given, her and her husband, David, field passes to go walk on the field pre-game, and she got to go do that. So you guys were passing by each other like ships in the night. He goes on to say, got the opportunity to be on the field pre-game, sit in the Bud Light Champions Club, meet Champ Bailey, and watched one hell of a comeback. Best game I've ever been to.
How do you top
that?
And
isn't it crazy? Yeah, that's talk about memories upon memories. What's crazy is all that cool stuff that you had, Brian, in that game, right? The pre-game being on the field, the Bud Light Champions Club, champ, all that stuff. And it was looking like it was all going to be for naught, right? It was looking like the Super Bowl 50 squad and DT's official induction into the Ring of Fame was going to be a big fat zero for the team, 2025 team, in terms of, we're going to honor those guys with what we do today. And again, let's remember too, the Giants at that point, and today obviously, but especially then, they had their rookie running back, all that stuff, but they weren't necessarily a team to be feared or reckoned with. Broncos certainly had to reckon with them. And to think that it was looking that bleak, Zach, and they still won the game, like, it's, to this moment, it beggars belief. Like, how did it happen? It's crazy.
But there's also, and thank you, Brian, for the super, there was the buildup to the game with Broncos fans versus Giants fans. For anyone on Twitter engaging in that war, I was in that war. Nick Benito was going in DMs with a Giants fan telling him BTA. I mean, there was a lot on the line. We all wanted the Broncos to really whoop the Giants, and it didn't start off that way, Chad, but and so much has happened since then this season that I forgot it was DT's number retirement. I still believe he was looking over the Broncos that day. There's no other way about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you could feel the magic. There was a magical element to the whole day, which is what made the first 3 quarters so frustrating. And then as things started picking up steam, it was like, whoa, man, what is going on? What's happening right now? CJ Invests jumping in on Super Chat. Thank you, CJ. I really wonder what snapped after that week 3 Charger game. I thought it was going to be another one of those years fighting for wild card. Now we're Super Bowl favorites, which, by the way, what is he talking about? Well, I'm not sure exactly what he's referencing on the favorite side of things, but according to the Pro Football Focus simulator, the Broncos have the highest percentage chance of not only making the Super Bowl, but winning the Super Bowl. They have the highest of any of the other teams when they run the simulations. It's something like 30%. I wrote about it a couple days ago. But either way, Zach, isn't that crazy? Because they did start 1-2, as CJ brings up here.
And I think it was, I saw, in the last 3 years, the team that clinched a postseason berth first ended up going to the Super Bowl. And the Broncos were the first team, I think the first team or the second team. They're first team in the AFC to clinch a postseason berth. So we'll see what happens there. But definitely
first team overall, because we've had the best record in the
was.
NFL all year.
I think the Rams were the second team. I couldn't
Yeah.
place it, but Super Bowl contenders for sure, CJ. And what happened after that Chargers game? The Broncos, and the haters will say it's because the schedule they had. They could only play who's in front of them. They just learned and found a way to win. They didn't care if it was ugly. They weren't focused on style points. They were happy taking it to the fourth quarter. They just found a way to overcome. A lot like, and I hate to say it, that magical Tebow year.
I think a big reason for it, CJ, it wasn't the reason. What's a better way of putting it? A contributing factor that helped them turn it around from there was they got themselves a nice get-right game in week 4 in the form of the Burrow-less Cincinnati Bengals, and that kind of helped them get back on the horse. Now they're at 2-2, and then they're staring down the barrel of a 2-week East Coast and far, far, far East Coast road trip, starting with the Eagles, took care of that, then went across the pond, stayed out, went across the pond, took care of the Jets, and that was not an easy game. The Jets had Zach, had their dander up. I don't know if it was the Aaron Glenn connection, Sean Payton, another one of his former acolytes, just you know how it goes. But that game required a fourth quarter comeback for Bo Nix to secure that. So either way, that was a turning point for sure, CJ, is how are you going to respond? You opened up 1-2. And what's crazy is this team, they ended up going on an 11-game winning streak starting the following week. And they very easily could have been 13 games before they got to the Jags loss. You know, that's crazy, man, because both those Colts and that Chargers matchup, Zach, were heartbreaker last-second field goals.
You bring up a really good point with the get-right game, and then the Eagles game, Chad, is the first one I can remember where the NFL media and the opposing fan bases gave the Broncos no credit. They were written off. They were left for dead, and they thought the same as you, CJ. It was going to be another one of those years. But then they won. Then they came back from 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and they showed they can do it. It gave them the confidence, and it snowballed from there. The NFL is so much about momentum, and the Broncos took it, and they haven't let it go.
I honestly think beating the Eagles in week 5 was the moment that the Broncos as a collective really bought into the Sean Payton Super Bowl thing. Like they wanted to believe, hey, if our coach is telling us that, and he's a guy who's been to the top of the mountain, we're inclined to believe it. But when they beat the Eagles, I think that's when everybody was like, yo, why not us? Yeah, let's go. And here we are. So CJ, excellent topics, buddy. Thank you for bringing that up. We also have Taylor, who's been a member for 5 months and a Super Chat superstar for years, saying, hi, fellas. His best moment of 2025 was officially dethroning the Chiefs, ending, Zach, a 9-year run for the Chiefs as AFC West champs. That was a very sweet moment. No doubt about it, big dog.
Yeah, Taylor, there have been so many this season. You can flip a coin. Top 3, like I said, though, the Giants game, the over dog comment after upsetting the Packers at home, and also sweeping Kansas City for the first time, as Chad mentioned, in 12 years now, or 11 seasons. Crazy. Thank you, Taylor.
I got to be honest, though, the over dog comment lost some of its luster when they lost to the Jaguars the next week at home.
But for a week, it was so good, Chad.
It was so good for a week, dude, no doubt. But Taylor, buddy, thank you. And he's jumping in again. Whoops, sorry, Scott. Saying we should win Sunday. If not, we don't deserve the 1 seed. Exactly. That's absolutely true. But Jim Harbaugh, he's not going to make it easy, man. Like Andy Reid, he kind of last season in the finale, Zach, a little bit kind of gave up the ghost. Like, I don't know how to explain it. That Chiefs team, week 18, 2024, when Sean Payton just last Thursday night was talking about the Chiefs having the heart of a champion and da-da-da. Yeah. You didn't really see that in the finale last year like you saw it. And I think because they got blown out and shut out, Zach, that was a part of, we didn't really talk much about this, but that Christmas night win and the reason the Chiefs fought so hard, I think part of it was they were pissed that they allowed the Broncos to even though it was their second team and all that stuff, to blow them out in the finale. But Shannon jumping in with a moment. Thank you for the super chat. She says that interception by Jaquan McMillan against Mahomes in the red zone was a great moment. That it was. No doubt about it. That was like, yep, Chiefs aren't getting this.
I want to clarify. Thank you, Shannon. I want to clarify something as well. I love the overdog comment because I like when my quarterback talks a little crap, and I like that Bo Nix has that side to him. But it was the game itself, Chad, that was the memory for me because the Broncos look so freaking good, man. Especially Bo Nix, 4 touchdowns against an elite defense. I just think it was a really, really pivotal moment of the season. But thank you, Shannon.
And it was just a great kind of measuring stick, not only the caliber of opponent that the Green Bay Packers are, but marquee quarterback, guy that's already been anointed by the NFL press as one of the greats in the league, going up against Bo Nix. Bo Nix outduels him, comes out on top. The symbolism there, I don't think was lost on anyone in Broncos country. I still don't think it availed Bo Nix much because, I mean, God bless the mothership at Sports Illustrated, but I saw their top 10 quarterback rankings today. Bo Nix isn't on it. And I'm going, all right, whatever. Let him hate. Let him hate. Let him sleep. Whatever you want to say about it. It serves the Broncos. I would rather them be the underdogs than the overdogs in terms of,
agreed.
I think it helps them more on game day, not just because Team Zach are kind of sleeping on them a little bit maybe, but because the Broncos take exception to that. Like they kind of like being the underdog on one hand where, you know, people are kind of looking past them maybe a little bit, but more so it's being able to harness and use that any sign of disrespect to their advantage.
Well, if they need more motivation, hopefully they're listening tonight because Pro Football Focus ranked Bo Nix as tied as the 17th best quarterback in the NFL with Patrick Mahomes, who's obviously out for the season. A couple quarterbacks ahead of Bo Nix, Mac Jones, Tyler Shuck, the rookie from New Orleans, and also Kirk Cousins, number 12 overall. So let him hate.
Let him hate. I don't know, man. I don't know what it's going to honestly take for the NFL at large to really come around on Bo Nix, other than Zach. Like, I don't think the Super Bowl will do it. Seriously, the Broncos can go on and win the Super Bowl. I still think you'll see people kind of treat him, best case scenario, like Jalen Hurts, a guy who gets a little bit of love, but nowhere near the credit that he deserves for what he's accomplished in the league. It would take, honestly, I think, a juggernaut year like this where they're winning 13, 14 games and Star Wars numbers, Bo Nix. Then you get the NFL coming around. In other words, if you don't have the Star Wars numbers, which is one of the reasons why Jalen Hurts has never been like fully, in my opinion, fully coronated the way he deserves. If you don't have the Star Wars numbers, they don't get on board. And that's why Drake May is everybody's darling this year, Zach, because he can, you know, they can point to the box score and go, look at how many touchdowns, look at how many passing yards, etc., and corresponds to the standings.
Well, it's funny you bring up Jalen Hurts because I feel like that's the only way Bo Nix, the majority of the consensus would come around, is if Bo Nix goes in the Super Bowl and has a Jalen Hurts type performance from a couple years ago and that loss to Kansas City where he put up a crap ton of yards, crap ton of points. If Bo Nix and the Broncos go to the Super Bowl and they win it like 10-0, he's going to get no credit. They're going to say it's the defense and he was carried to it. But if they win the game 40-39 and he has 4 touchdowns, I think then Chad, and also MVP, then he would get the credit. There's one path to that, sadly.
CJ Invest jumping in again. Thank you, Big Dog.
Thank you, CJ.
Says that Eagles game, I think, was the turning point for sure. 2-2 at the time. Underrated win. I'd go Cowboys. Most complete. That's a good point before I finish reading this. That it's easy to look back on that Cowboys game and go, you know, Broncos blew them out. But remember, they were viewed as like the best offense in the NFL at the time. And maybe they hadn't, Zach, as a complete team, you know, gotten into juggernaut status or anything, but they were a high quality opponent at the time. Broncos curb stomped them. But he goes on to say most complete was the Packers, most satisfying the Chiefs. Overall, though, the favorite has to be that Giants game.
I did some research before that Dallas game. The last time the Cowboys beat the Broncos in Denver, the Cold War was just ending officially. So that was fait accompli. I agree, though, it was a good win, a convincing win because they're the Cowboys and they have the most fans, I think, bandwagon among the NFL. The complete, we talked about the Packers and also sweeping Kansas City. How is that not satisfying? But thank you so much, CJ, for your second super.
Speaking of the Cowboys, just real quick, I finally got around to watching the America's Team doc on Netflix. Have you watched that yet, Zach?
I have not. No, is it good?
It's very good. It's very good. And even though, you know, I'm a Broncos guy, I always have been, it's kind of fun to relive some of those moments from the 90s and remember just how damn good that team was and how it came out of nothing, man. They were bottom of the barrel, worst team in the league for 2 straight years. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. CJ, thank you, big dog. Guys, I'm going to grab some members, and we're going to grab Glenn. Glenn says, give me wins over QB stats any day of the week. Get the dubs, protect yourself, and the football. Talking about Sunday. Absolutely. Taylor wants to know, I don't know if Scott saw this, is Michael Penix a bust? He says, I think he is. If you don't think he is, please explain. I'm not sure Mr. Producer's in the mood for a Mr. Producer bomb, but maybe he'll drop you a comment on that front because you are, after all, Taylor Christensen. But Zach, I think the time where did that go? I'm trying to, there we go. Time has come to do the head-to-head. Now, the teeth of this head-to-head matchup is kind of worn away a little bit because you're not getting full-strength Chargers against full-strength Broncos, but it's still very interesting to kind of get a feel for these 2 playoff teams, how they measure up going into the season finale, week 18 in Denver. So we take a quick look here. Everybody knows. Zach, it's on screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Green signifies top 10. Red signifies bottom 10. And if it's black, then it means it's somewhere in between, right? The Broncos, and this is a big point of emphasis that Sean Payton is trying to drive home for his team in the finale and going into the playoffs, but turnover margin, it's very unusual for a team to be as productive and prolific as the Broncos have been this year, Zach, with that bad of a turnover margin ranking. They are -5, which simply means they've given the ball away 5 times more than they've taken it away. That ties them for the 25th. Whereas the Chargers are almost the polar opposite. They are +4. That puts them at tied for 8th. Time of possession, these are both a pair of top 10 teams, and no doubt about it, the last couple of games have really helped the Broncos pad this particular number with the amount of time they spent with those drives. Broncos ranked 9th, but look who's number 1. Kind of interesting. This makes me fear them a little bit in the playoffs. Chargers are 1st. Then you look at the offenses. We'll keep it with the Chargers for now. 12th in yards. Let's see, 16th in scoring, averaging, we'll call it 23 a game. 12th in rushing, 15th in passing. 13 picks, though, ties them for 23rd. 6 fumbles lost is all, though. They're tied with the Broncos at 7th there for the 7th fewest. But 19 total giveaways. They actually have, Zach, 2 more giveaways than the Broncos, and yet they're +4, Denver's -5. We're going to get to the bottom of exactly why that is here in just a minute when we look at these defenses. But look, you can get to the quarterback, whether it's Herbert or Trey Lance. They've got 56 sacks allowed, Zach. That's Russell Wilson level pass protection ineptitude. Now, in their defense, their offensive line, man, has been dealt multiple blows this year. So I feel for them a little bit in that respect. But then last thing here, 3rd down, they're 3rd best, but they're kind of not very good in the red zone, ranking 27th. And then real quick, Broncos 9th in yards, points, they are 14th. And I want to remind everybody, they ended up finishing 10th last season in scoring. So they got to put up some points in this finale if they want to get there, because they're now 14th. Rushing 19th, top 10 passing offense. We mentioned the giveaways. Only 19 sacks allowed, which is the fewest in the NFL, Zach. And what did Bo finish last year? 3rd fewest, I want to say. So that's a trend. You can lock it in. Bo's tough to sack. 10th on 3rd down, Zach, and 10th in the red zone.
I can't believe, Chad, the Broncos finally have a top 10 offense on 3rd down and the red zone, 2 of the most important metrics to me. Although if they were a little better in the red zone last week, the game would have been a blowout and we wouldn't have to talk about a 7-point win. But there's more green on the Broncos side than there is on the Chargers side, and that's very interesting. A lot of people don't realize that. And it's not just for naught as well, Chad. You mentioned that, like, it takes some of the luster out of it. There's a non-zero chance that Chargers can play the Broncos in the playoffs. They can meet again for a 3rd time this season. So it's good to know that the Broncos, looks like they have the edge on offense based on the stats.
Defensively, these are 2 similar teams with one big exception. You look at the Chargers, they're 4th in yards, they're 7th in points, 9th in rushing, 10th against the pass, or pardon me, 6th against the pass. They have 19 picks. And remember, we were talking about, well, if the Chargers have two more giveaways than the Broncos, how are they basically 9 ahead in terms of the points in the turnover margin? This is where it starts. This is really it. Zach, the Broncos only have 9 interceptions as a defense. The Chargers have 19, which ties them for third most.
Crazy.
And Broncos would honestly be tied with the Chargers if Talanoa Hufanga caught all the balls that hit him right here in the hands. But either way, then you look at takeaways total. They have 23. That's the 7th most. The Broncos only have 12. That ties them for 28th. However, 64 sacks, that's the most in the NFL. It doesn't look like, Zach, they're going to be able to beat the Bears, 84 Bears record of 72 sacks. I mean, there's a chance it is Trey Lance. I just think it's probably a number a little too far out there. But the Chargers, they're top 10 in terms of sacks, tied with 41. And then both teams, very good defenses on third down in the red zone. Chargers are 6th on third down, 4th in the red zone. Broncos are 2nd and 2nd. So your thoughts here?
It's obviously important, the red zone and on third down, same as the offense, Chad. And I say the same thing every week. I think, by the way, they set a franchise record, right? Single season sack record.
Back-to-back years. So last year they broke it, and then this year they broke it again.
There you go. They have that going for them. So even if they don't reach the NFL record, it was still a very productive season. But the same thing I say every week, Chad, I can't believe they are so bad at taking the football away with how many sacks they get, with how dominant they are. Like you mentioned, the drop Talanoa Hufanga picks. Barron got screwed out of at least one pick six as well, Jahdae Barron. But it's crazy to see the red there in those categories with a VJ defense.
Yeah, and a big part of it is we know at least 2 takeaways have been wiped off the board because of the refs down here with the penalties committed. We'll get to that here in a second, but let's quickly take a look at the special teams. Broncos, their only thing to write home about is the punt return average. This numbers-wise, Zach, I could pull it up and we could look at it if we had more time, but compared to where they were at the season's end last year, there's no measurable way to point to their special teams with Darren Rizzi and see any clear improvement. It's been mostly regression, with maybe the exception of punting being probably about 6s. Same with the punt return. That's still been elite, top 5. But everything else, Zach, is either the same or worse. And it kind of makes you wonder why the Broncos went to such great length to make the changes at the special team coordinator position that they did. But meanwhile, you look at the Chargers, the only thing they really have to write home about in the third phase is their kicker, who kind of betrayed them in that Texans game. So oddly enough, and then last thing, penalties. Broncos have improved. They're no longer the worst. They're no longer the second worst. They're now ranked 29th. That's still really bad. The Chargers are 99, have 99 penalties. That ranks them middle of the pack, 14. And then Broncos still, their opponents, 7th most penalties committed. And the Chargers, both middle of the pack numbers. So there you have it, guys.
Yeah, first of all, with special teams, you're absolutely right, Chad. At very absolute best, they are comparable to what they were last season. At worst, they are much worse. That was not a good hire from Sean Payton. We'll see if he rectifies that. Although Crawshaw has been steadily improving as a punter over the course of the season, so I want to give him some credit as well. And I love Raleigh Moss. I still will always support him for the foreseeable future. But if he wasn't on the team, that number would be almost cut in half with how he's undeservingly targeted by the NFL officiating crews.
True. It would put him probably somewhere in the teens, the 1-teens right now, which, probably put him somewhere like 18th, 19th would be my guess.
Yeah.
Without Riley, but that still would be a lot more than 29th, a lot better. So anyway, and then last thing, just we'll take a look at some statistical leaders here for fun here. They're led by Henley in tackles with 100. Broncos have 2 players over triple digits in tackles. Alex Singleton leads with 128. Hufanga, 103, which, by the way, kind of interesting. He told Chris Thomason, did Hufanga, of the Denver Gazette, that he didn't feel like he deserved the Pro Bowl. He didn't feel like he was snubbed, I should say. Not that he didn't deserve it, but he didn't feel snubbed because he didn't have any picks. He doesn't have any interceptions, no plays on the ball. So kind of interesting. And then Jones, who's on IR, third on the team. Sacks, their team leader has more than Denver's team leader. Bonito leads the way at 12.5. And Tui's probably not going to play, right, Zach? I mean, that's the way it's looking.
Yeah, I'd be surprised.
Pardon me. Interceptions, I mean, it's not even remotely comparable. It's going to go down in infamy if a backup rush linebacker ends up leading this team in interceptions. Let's see. Receiving, McConkey leads them with 789. Keenan Allen, 741. Johnston, pretty even across the board. And then Sutton, 1,000. Franklin, 709. Rushing, Dobbins still leads the team. Hasn't touched the ball since week 10, Zach. But at least it's good to see Harvey up and over the 500 mark.
Yeah.
And the Chargers kind of have similar numbers across the board.
I don't know if Vidal, who was playing after Harris and Hampton got hurt, and as you can see, Herbert has more rushing yards this season than Bo Nix. So Herbert not playing is a major boon for the Broncos, but Vidal, if he plays, he can make some things happen as well. I found out the hard way in fantasy that he's a decent running back, but as long as they're starting Trey Lance, Chad, there's no excuse why this game is not going to be a commanding victory for the Broncos.
Kind of interesting that Bo has more pass yardage than Herbert, but when I look at this number, what I see is he's only 210 yards away, Zach, from a 4,000-yard season. So
and
go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off. He
No.
would have had a Chad. He's lost 310 yards due to drops this season, fifth most in the NFL. He would have been over 4K.
So there you have it, guys. There's your Week 18 head-to-head. And as Zach said, as I mentioned, it might have been a little less meaningful because they're not playing all their starters. But as Zach pointed out, we might see them again in the playoffs. So it's good to kind of see where they measure up. Yeah, I don't know, CJ, about Kotwika. I thought he did a great job, but something about, honestly, this is not something I've been told by a source or anything like that, but I have eyes to see, and it didn't take a rocket scientist or Sherlock Holmes to go when the Chiefs blocked that field goal, would-be game-winning field goal at Arrowhead last season, and Alex Forsythe goes on his backside, and they block it. What happened 2 days later? Mike Westhoff, the assistant head coach and quote-unquote kind of special teams senior advisor czar, who was technically over the special teams coordinator, Ben Kotwika, suddenly resigns and retires for health reasons. And this guy had just been brought in, a year and a half earlier to be Sean Payton's most leaned-on guy, his assistant head coach and all that stuff. So then you go, okay, someone was pissed. Sean Payton was not letting that go without there being consequences somewhere. I contend if Dennis Allen, Zach, doesn't get fired, whatever it was, 3/4 of the way through last season, and Sean Payton doesn't see that and go, okay, Rizzy's going to be available here in a month and a half, I bet you he doesn't fire Kotwika. But he had such a great experience with Rizzy, with the Saints previous, that he thought it would be an upgrade, and maybe it was like delayed punishment, Zach, for what happened. And if you remember, Leo Chanel blocked that. I think it was Chanel, wasn't it? That blocked the kick.
Yeah.
They talked about. Anyway, they let their guard down at the penultimate worst moment. Ronk, dude, another top rope super chat. Holy smokes, dude. You get the ball dome for that, brother. You get hats off for that, my dog. Thank you, Ronk. Seriously, so generous. Happy New Year to you. Bones, dude. Boom. Thank you, buddy. He says, great show tonight, Chad and Zach on the Mile High Huddle podcast. Go Bo Broncos. You're a real one, Ronk. You're a real one, big dog. And there's a reason you're a superstar. Love you, bud.
Thank you so much, Michael, for that. You are, like Chad said, a legend around here. We definitely appreciate the generosity you're showing. Just to put a bow on what you were saying, Chad, there was the Chiefs screw up with Forsythe. And also remember in the second Chargers game, Tremont Smith ran into the punt returner or whatever it was, 15-yard penalty. They ended up losing that game. And then Darren Rizzi became available. And cronyism and nepotism are two drugs that are crazy to quit if you're someone like Sean Payton.
That's an NFL thing. I mean, Broncos and Sean Payton are not unique to that, but it's just been so easy for us to recognize the nepotism because, Broncos, Saints going to Denver, Saints going to Denver over and over and over again. But anyway, Ronk, brother,
Thank you.
You are the man. We're so grateful for you, and hope you have a great new year. By the way, what are the resolutions? Spit it out, guys. What are you working on improving this year? What are your resolutions? Zach, you got anything you want to share?
My new year started off being sick, so I just want to get healthy again. And I'm obviously, Chad, I just want to watch the Broncos evolve. Nothing really personal that I'll share on camera right now. Just I want to watch the Broncos season evolve and where it takes them over the course of the next couple months.
For me, I'll tell you, I'm gonna start trying to work on this dad bod of mine. All right. You know what it costs a cat to get a dad bod like this? It's not cheap, I'll tell you. All right. But listen, I'm working on shedding a few lbs. That's my New Year's resi for 2026. But Ron, thank you again, big dog. Just a couple quick comments here from some members, and then we'll dip on out. Keith says, "Who y'all got for Pats? Who y'all got, Pats or Fins this Sunday?" Pardon me, Zach. What's your answer for Keith? Thank you for being a member, Keith.
Well, I don't know if New England – I don't care about this game, number one. It has no meaning to me. If the Broncos take care of business, we don't have to worry about the Patriots. But if they're not resting starters, then New England should be able to pretty handily defeat the Dolphins, who are just utter garbage.
And totally eliminated. So
Yeah.
It's going to be a Pats win. Ryan says, Ravens or Steelers? Who's going to win Sunday night? He says, I think Steelers will pull the upset. Zach, what do you think?
Is Lamar Jackson playing for Baltimore? If he plays, I think they win. If he doesn't play, obviously, I think the Steelers will win. Although TJ Watt could play in that game as well, coming back from that lung issue. That's the only game, except for the Broncos, that's interesting on this Week 18 schedule. It's going to be a banger Sunday night.
So Lamar says he's playing 100%. I want the Steelers to win. I'd rather see the Steelers through some weird twist of fate in the playoffs than I would the Ravens, for Lamar and the Ravens. So I'm actually going to be rooting for the Steelers just because it's one less, kind of in the spirit, Zach, of what Sean Payton said on Monday. One of the benefits of the bye is, it's not just that you get the rest, but you're skipping the chance. It's one less chance of some team getting up on the right side of the bed, as opposed to maybe your team got up on the wrong side. You kind of minimize the risk. I want to see the Steelers win that game. I'd rather see this version of Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs than Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, who you got to tip your cap to them after how bad and injured they were all year and the number of losses that stacked up early. To have their division within grasp with this season finale, like, hell of a good job by John Harbaugh.
The question asked who I think will win, not who I want to win. I obviously, for the same reasons you laid out, Chad, absolutely. I don't want to see Lamar Jackson. I don't want to see Derrick Henry. I don't want to see the Ravens in the postseason. But who I think will win, I think that'll be Baltimore.
Todd Ostendorf, I don't remember which team we were playing, but the game where PS2 jumped to get that interception was awesome. Wasn't it the Packers game?
Yeah.
Yeah, he and Moss, that's their only interceptions of the year was that game. Okay, guys. We got a few messages for you. Then I'll take one last look at the chat before we dip, so don't go anywhere.
Another tremendous installment, as always, of the Mile High Huddle podcast. If you're not doing so, please follow us on X at the MHH Pod. You can follow the main account at Mile High Huddle, Chad at Chad and Jensen, myself at Kelberman NFL, and Scott, our producer, at Scout Kennedy. If you guys want some merch like we're rocking each and every single podcast, check out MHHmerch.com and get you some. If you haven't done so yet, please drop us a like at Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. You can find us on Instagram at Mile_High_Huddle. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you're leaving your football priest a 5-star review for a chance to win some merch each and every single month. But if anything, y'all, please, very important that you subscribe, you like, you share this video and every video you see on the MHH channel. It really helps us grow and reach more Broncos fans just like you.
All right, a couple comments and questions here from the members. So Todd, first of all, says, if the Broncos defense is getting close to the sack record, so let's say, Zach, it's third quarter and they have 70 sacks because they've already gotten 6. Will Sean Payton keep the starters in to try and get the record?
It would depend on what the score is. If the score is close, I think the starters will stay in. But if it's like 35-0, you got to just weigh what's best for your team. So hopefully they can get both, Todd.
I don't think Sean Payton cares that much about the record, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So
If
we'll
it was
see.
a Bo Nix record, though, it'd be different.
And that brings up here, like, Pro 16 says, imagine if Shedeur Sanders was Denver's quarterback and he was doing what Bo was doing. Could you imagine what the media would be saying? And it's true. And then he says, it seems like every week Bo is making history. Yeah, dude. Like each week I write up the milestones article, like what players have records and milestones on the table against the coming opponent. And Bo Nix has been in there every single game since about week 5 on. In fact, probably all but 1 or 2 games this year, he's had some kind of milestone on the table. But to me, Zach, the most important symbolic records are only quarterback in the history of the NFL to win 20-plus games, pass for 7,500-plus yards, and 50-plus touchdowns in his first 2 years. That, and then what he's about to do on Sunday, tying Russell Wilson for the most wins by a quarterback through their first 2 years, are, to me, the most meaningful symbolic records Bo has set this year.
Yeah, and if, like I said, if he was close to a major one as the defense is, I think Sean would keep him in. But I agree with you, Chad. I don't think Peyton cares all that much about the defense.
All right, guys, we got a mile-high salute and a special shout-out to all the Super Chat superstars, supporters, and dear members helping us keep the lights on tonight. Like the Ronk going off 2 very, very generous
Michael.
Super Chat, top rope supers. The Duchess, Michaela Parker, we love you. Multiple supers tonight. Also, Shannon Mills, much love and respect to you. Papa Bear, Jetty Splash, Eric Holt, multiple supers. Lawrence Rivera, happy future birthday, big dog. David Youngkin, thank you, buddy. Ronk, also, by the way, throwing down memberships for folks in the chat and helping us remember Darren Williams. Zeus McPeak, George Fox, Brian McGahee, CJ Invest with a couple of supers. Thank you, big dog. Taylor with a couple of supers. Let's see. I think that, George Fox. Did I say George Fox? Either way, George Fox on Facebook. So thank you guys. Happy New Year. Yeah. Love you so much. Zach and I will see you together for the gut reaction on Sunday. It's going to be a fun one. I foresee, Zach, I see it being a little bit less stressful. Season finale. Broncos control it pretty solidly, get the 1 seed, and then kick back for a week and 2 weeks.
Yeah. I want to give this to Roger really quickly. He's asking, who would you rate as the better coach of the Harbaugh brothers? That would be Jim to me. I think he's done more with less. And if you gave him the Ravens roster, he would at least have 1 Super Bowl. I think, unfortunately, he's in the AFC West, but Jim Harbaugh is a hell of a coach. They both are. But have a great start to your weekend. Happy New Year to each and every one of you. We will see you Sunday for the gut reaction, the Week 18 finale. Take care. And as always, go Broncos.